Good afternoon, Patriots. This is the American Vision, broadcast on the TLBTV network and brought to you by the Liberty Beacon Project. I'm your host, Bill Muckler, and I'm coming to you from my home studio in Cocoa, Florida, on America's beautiful Space Coast. And today I have a very special guest who's got a very exciting project going on, and that's Tom Pawlak. And Tom is coming to us from the Phoenix, Arizona area, and his project is called Mission Rescue Bronze. And so, Tom, welcome to the show. I'm really glad to have you on with me. And we've talked on the phone, and I got a little bit of an idea what the project's all about, but I know our viewers are really going to want to find out about this because what you're doing is just awesome, and it's something that we're doing for our fallen heroes that's just so important.
Thank you very much. And it is a rescue mission of sorts. We restore bronze grave markers, military grave markers at no charge whatsoever to the family. And it started back when I was out here just for one winter in Phoenix. And I was watching a broadcast, and it was a memorial service to a soldier, and they had the guest speakers. And after a while, all of a sudden they panned down, and there was the soldier's grave marker, and you couldn't read the name on it. But I knew by its condition, with its lettering sticking up on it, that it was underneath that hard water stains and coatings of 50 years, that there was bronze under there that should have luster to it, a deep brown background and shiny letters on it. So it bothered me a couple days later, a day later. I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to contact the people that were on the program and couldn't reach anyone. The reporter didn't return the call. The name wasn't on Facebook of the last speaker. I saw his name on it on the broadcast. And so I just went out to the cemetery and just walked in the office. I said, "Where is this Medal of Honor recipient that I heard about?" And they said, "Oh, it's over in this section. It's this row, that line." And so I went out there, but I had my set of tools with me. I knew what I needed for it. So I had gone to the store and picked up the restoration products. I went out there and, I started sanding off the failed clear coat and the hard water, and it revealed these bright, shiny letters, Medal of Honor. And I saw, well, who is this person? It's a Medal of Honor in Purple Heart. So I continued on. I painted the background, put a coating on it, and it looked like brand new. And I took a picture, before and after. And this is the before. This is what I saw on the TV camera. And when I got there, when I was done with it, this is what it looked like.
Wow, that's amazing. You read his name. His last name is Austin, so Medal of Honor winner. So, Tom, how did you get involved with vets? Are you a vet yourself? And tell us a little bit about your background, so we know who you are.
Well, it goes back to when I was in high school, and everyone was going to Vietnam, and what we call it is our community leader. Ken went to Vietnam. He didn't study enough in college, and he lost his credits and his deferment. So he went with his neighbor. His neighbor, turns out, had medical discharge. But Ken went there, and 3 weeks later, he was dead. So bring it up to 32 years ago now, I went out to his grave, put the flag out on the holidays, and I saw how bad his grave marker looked in relation to his parents' new marker, his mother's marker. So I went out there, got the stuff together, and refinished it, made it look as good as any other one in the cemetery, any new one. And 2 weeks later, his brother called me, and he goes, "I know it was you." And this is where I choke up. So I'm out here in Arizona. I know what to do. During this time of these 32 years, I just go out on a bad day. I'm having a bad day. A girlfriend dumps me. Business is bad in the store. I just go out and do a marker, and it changes something in your mind. And as I tell people throughout all the interviews and all the people where I give talks to, you'll never be able to do just one. And they say, "Well, I just have my brothers to do." I said, "You won't be able to stop." And they don't. Something changes in your mind, and the most remarkable part is what we experienced with our PTSD guys. They said, "This is perfect. I can get out, do this. I can't be around crowds. I want to be in the house all the time, so I'm going to go do one." I said, how did it work out? And he says, I can't stop. He says, PTSD is gone. And that's the remarkable part of it. Something changes. It's between the connection back to your military guys to somebody that is worse off than you. The soldier that you're doing his marker, he may have served for 30 years. He may have been killed in action. He may have just died of natural causes, but you don't know him. But there's something where you care for a person's grave marker that you don't even know, that you just go out and see it looking bad. And you wonder, when you're standing there looking at the real worst looking one in the cemetery, and you go, look, where's the family? And you question, like, why isn't the family taking care of that? Well, now our project is, because of that was noticed so many times, we got our new project. We're going to go back to every Vietnam person that lost their life in Vietnam, all 58,000, clean their graves, cut the grass, trim it, wash it down, restore it if it's bronze. Because the parents would be in their 90s right now. Brothers and sisters are in their 60s and 70s. Usually the Vietnam guys, they were brought back home to the local community. But in that community, things change. Families move on. Brothers and sisters move out of state, and most have. There's rare to find somebody that came back to the old neighborhood and stayed there. So that's what we look for. We just, I started after restoring Oscar Austin's coming home and seeing on this fantastic thing called Facebook and internet access that you can find just about anything. And I found Oscar Austin. I didn't just find who he was, but I found a ship named after him, the USS Oscar Austin, DDG-79. It's a cruise missile destroyer.
I saw the cap, and I wanted to ask you about the cap. It sounds like you've dedicated this as he's sort of like the standard or the foundation of the rock that you built all this on.
Exactly. He was just a poor black kid. Had a newspaper route, joined the Marines, went to Vietnam. So now I'm on the Oscar Austin Recognition Committee, because it's rare to, hear something like that where, he had a lifetime experience, saved some people in Vietnam. Months later, saved another group. He was Marine, pulling the guy back, and a grenade exploded. He took the shrapnel from that, and then he looked and somebody was ready to shoot the guy he had saved earlier. So he jumped in front and took the bullet, and people witnessed that happening. And that's why he was able to receive the Medal of Honor, our nation's highest award. It's a elite group, but when you find, one of 3,700 plus Medal of Honor recipients, but a cruise missile destroyer named after him, that's pretty remarkable. So you're going to try to get a school named after him, an auditorium. And it
that's awesome what you're doing. And, let's go back to the Vietnam era. And I want to let everybody know, I'm considered a Vietnam vet, but I never got ashore on Vietnam. And it's a crazy story, but we went there. And then when we got there, they sent some of us to Okinawa, and I happened to go to Okinawa. So, and that was in 1961. So what happened, though, is a lot of the vets, most of the vets, I guess, that came back from Vietnam ended up coming to the West Coast, and they did not receive a very kind and warm reception. And many of them end up with what's known as PTSD. And I'm among some vets who are trying to get the D removed from that, because it's not a disorder. And I think you and I have talked about that. We certainly agree on that also. But I've interviewed a lot of vets who are involved in helping other vets to prevent suicide and prevent PTS. And what I'm getting from this is, some say it takes some spirituality, and some are convinced it takes physicality. And Tom, it just dawned on me as you were talking, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but I wanted to go back to this, is what you're doing is you're actually having people go out and doing something that's not only physical, but it's also spiritual. And they're giving of themselves to clean up and restore the graves and everything. And I think that's such a wonderful thing. But for vets to do, I can see where that would really be catharsis for them. But for people themselves who are now starting, a lot of people, and I've talked to some some guys who are very left leaning that were the ones who were, abusing and shouting and cursing at the vets coming back. They said they're starting to feel really guilty about all this, and they ended up in a sense with a type of PTS, post-traumatic syndrome. And so maybe we can get some of them to go out and help restore our fallen heroes markers.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest part is, I was a civilian. I had the deferment when my buddy was killed. I gave it up. Mm-hmm. My parents were looking at me, the leader of our neighborhood, the greatest kid you ever going to meet, and you get a deferment. There's something wrong. And we had 11 military in our family, all World War II. Is probably, your era, my era. That's what we had as role models. So you see something like that happen. I said, no, I want to go kill somebody. And I'm a good shot with a BB gun, a pellet gun, and a 30-06, and it didn't happen. So this is, it's probably the easiest thing I've ever done. The toughest thing is walking up to the wall and seeing all that. And you just, the people that I run into, I introduce this thing. So I'm talking to the commander, and he says, give me your address. That's how I got the cap. And I didn't expect it. A week and a half after I spoke to the commander of the USS Oscar Ralston, I said, I just want to send you a picture of the restored marker of the namesake. And he says, give me the address. A week and a half later, I got a box. I got the cap, the coin, the ship's flag, a proclamation, an invitation for a 3-day cruise on a destroyer. And I thanked him for it. I said, it only took an hour. It's easy to do. So I looked at my list of 30 people. I said, if I could do every Medal of Honor recipients in the United States, that'd be accomplishing something. So I sat down on a computer, start getting it out, and a strange twist of events happened that when I put the cap on and went to a breakfast car show, we're sitting at a table, there's 8 people. Guy walked up and he says, I'm buying breakfast for the table. He goes, thank you for serving. I said, wait, no, I didn't serve. I said, but let me just tell you a little bit what I did. I restored the soldier's grave marker. It looked really bad. It was on Fox TV here in Phoenix. And he said, that's a good thing you're doing. I said, well, I'm going to start doing more of them. He said, I'm buying breakfast for the table. That's a good thing. A little while later, after we're done with breakfast, the guy sitting next to me says, come on outside. And he was a Vietnam guy. He says, I went to Vietnam with my buddies. I said, yeah. And he says, we didn't all come back. And he said, that's a good thing you're doing. So it was like a defining moment. I could have driven home and said, boy, it's nice wearing a cap. People treat you better with a military cap on today. And I was just holding my hands on a wheel. I thought, if I don't do this, it won't get done. So at this computer with these 30 friends, start posting it up. And the strangest part, there's, God's hand in this. My buddy's drinking in a bar and sends me pictures on 5 in the morning on Sunday. I'm in a bar with Katy Perry. For an hour and a half, she was Kathy Hudson sitting there in a waitress uniform. And 3-4 pictures. So Katy Perry's there as Katherine Hudson visiting her cousin. 30-year-old woman takes the last seat in the bar right at my buddy's table. And he says, I don't know many people here. So they're talking chit-chat about Omaha and the band that was playing. She wants to dance, and he can't dance. And he goes, do you recognize me from anywhere? And he goes, no. And he's thinking, I'm set up by my sister that's a principal. This is a teacher. And then he goes like, no. He says, you don't recognize me? He goes, give me a hint. Says, I kissed a girl and I liked it. He says, you're Katy Perry? She goes, yeah. I said, that lady with the tray over there, the tall lady, that's my bodyguard. See that 6-foot-something guy over there? That's my other bodyguard. They just wanted to blend in, have some fun. She wanted to get out on Saturday night. Because all day people are coming over to see the famous Katy Perry. That's a bit of it. And so I'm laughing about this, like, well, who do you run into a bar? So anyway, I'm talking about it. Sunday, she calls him to take him to dance lessons. On Monday, she wanted to meet him at the IHOP. He says, you're such a nice guy. If you're 20 years younger, I'd date you. And so I said, what'd you do? He says, we had breakfast. I drove her to the airport. She travels the whole country. People don't recognize her. But I always remember what she said. She says, I pray for humility because of all this that's happening for her. And this was in 2014. She was just hitting the peak. And she walked around in that bar and sold drinks off this tray, these shots, to people in the bar. And they had pictures. The big bodyguard guy was snapping pictures of this. So pictures all got out. My buddy walked in there the next week. everybody wanted to talk to him because he's in with this famous Katy Perry. So during this week, I'm talking to him. I said, I'm trying to roll this out. And he says, well, talk to Katy. She's got this whole marketing team and to get it out. So I call it the Katy Perry system. Friend somebody, friend a group, join a group. When people like what you're doing, friend them. So I went from 30 friends to 3,700 within 2 weeks. Wow. I was in 400 different military groups. The messages start coming in over 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for almost 3 months. By 4th of July, it slowed down. There were that many people interested in learning how to restore a bronze grave marker. Something simple that I've done for years, probably should have started 32 years ago. But that's what America is today. They see the people coming back, we're welcoming them, they want to do something and get involved. The first group was called The Mission Continues, post 9/11 veterans. They have platoons, as they call them, throughout the United States. So they came out. There may have been only 15 platoon members in Phoenix area, but they brought friends and family and cousins on the 9/11 day of service. So then I pull up and I've got 30-some people there wanting to do what I do. It was just overwhelming. We got coverage in the Arizona Veterans Magazine for it. And then, so that was done. And then I continued doing a few each week, but it had slowed down after 4th of July and after 9/11, but it's good weather here throughout the winter. So I kept up with communicating with people. So the total that we can estimate that saw my instructional videos is over 51,000 people have been trained. And that was remarkable, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So tell us, there has to be a process involved in this, and you need supplies, cleaning materials, and I guess you really take care of the whole graves, but you talked about washing it down. So how do people learn how to do this, and where can they get the supplies? And like I'm in Brevard County, Florida, and we do some things. We got some guys that go out and to the grave, veteran graves, pardon me, and restore them and so forth. But I don't know that I don't know of anybody that's doing exactly what you're doing. So how can we do that?
The best way is, Facebook is where military people connect. There's, I know of, probably about, close to 500 military groups. But on Facebook, you look up Mission Restore Bronze Markers, or look up, if you're Googling it, Mission Restore Bronze, our videos will pop up, our Facebook page. We tried doing the website, but Facebook is where I can connect immediately. I can chat online. I can answer people. So we stick with pretty much Mission Restore Bronze Markers on Facebook. To do the work, it's really simple. If you ever cleaned a bedroom out, looked at the walls, needed to patch them and paint everything, well, if you can patch walls and paint a bedroom, you can do this. It's that simple. It's basically you're putting down, on a full restoration, you're putting down a coat of paint, and then you're sanding off the tops of the letterings to remove the excess paint, revealing the shiny letters. And then after that, we were doing a clear coat, but clear coats don't hold up in the torture test weather that we have here in Arizona. So after 1 year, it was a problem. So little thing we do is develop my own wax, Mission Restore Bronze statue and plaque wax. We've done, with volunteers, the George Patton statue at his museum in California. I've done a lot of statues and plaques here in Arizona using this product. We've done the Vietnam Memorial here at the state capitol, and now the state of Arizona has noticed the type of work we do and the product that's working so well to preserve it. And we've been asked as a contractor to restore everything in the state of Arizona, all the statues and plaques. And if you see a green statue, somebody hasn't been coating it with wax once a year, because statues have to be coated to keep the green, which is minuscule, coming out. When we did Patton statue, it was all green. We brushed the wax on, and the luster returned to it, the deep brown color. So it's an easy process. On Mission Restore Bronze Markers, you'll see before and after pictures of the bronze marker. Bronze markers for soldiers, they're done at no charge whatsoever to the family. The process is simple. You put the paint on first, you let it dry for a week, come back to that same section of cemetery, and put a coat of wax on it. You'll find some that still have a brown background on it. Amazon and eBay sells it. One of our distributors has it on there, and you can order it, get it into your community. I supply, as the manufacturer of the wax, the inventor of it, I supply it to groups at no charge whatsoever. So as we raise money on the Facebook fundraising campaign, like we're just doing right now, that I'm able to make up a box of 12-ounce jars and ship them to a group that's doing it at no charge whatsoever to the group. They still have to go out and get the emery paper or belt sander material. It takes a rugged material. You don't use regular sandpaper on it. It'll shred easily. And the wax is the secret. Just like doing the statues and doing the Marines Memorial, the Iwo Jima one. That was just recently redone because they let it go too long without waxing it.
Hey, we talked about that on the telephone some time ago. Tell us about the Marine Corps Memorial, because I think that was really kind of an eye opener for you.
It was, you know. I'm used to seeing statues you can walk up to, or a horse with a soldier on it at the state capitol, and I had never been to all the memorials in Washington. First thing I went to was the wall, and to see it, quick tourist thing during the convention there, and then they called up and they said, we're restoring this and it's in bad condition. I said, well, I'll come out and I'll wax the statues for you. And then I found out that the flagpole was 60 feet tall, and the restoration was done by a Marine, funding by a Marine, $11 million to redo the entire area. He's one of these guys that made his millions on Wall Street, and he started to do that. And the Marines step up on that. And even here in our community, we have the founder of GoDaddy, and he posted up $10 million of his net worth in matching funds to the Semper Fi fund. And that's what it's all about. Is we don't have a big sponsor right now, but this little bit of funding. See, the thing that I do is this wax turns out a little bit changed the formula. It works well as a tire wax for white wall tires on hot rods and lowriders. So I manufacture the wax. I sell it on the open market, tire wax, black wall tire wax, trim and molding wax to raise funds. So I'm making it, marking it up, and I got that idea from Paul Newman's salad dressing, standing in an aisle. Salad dressing, boy, I got to have something I could sell in stores. The biggest thing I want to do right now is get the product, the bronze wax, into the stores, because with doing 58,000 markers, if we have scouts and volunteer groups doing it, they need to be able to walk in there and buy a jar where we don't have the $7 to ship one jar out to them. So it'd be a big savings. So we're into different food stores and hardware store chains that they'll have 3 jars on the shelf. So if somebody wants to walk in, buy a jar, or if they have a voucher or they've raised funds for doing it, one 12-ounce jar will do like 16 markers. So it gets the price down. Mm-hmm. But I've given away a lot. We just got a group that started in Maine, and they ordered 10 jars. I was low on funds. And so now funds came in over the last week. I'm sending them 10 jars. In Baltimore, Maryland, the NAM Knights, which is police and military guys, they're doing a fundraiser for their own group that they're starting there. It's Baltimore, Maryland. We've got it going on with a disabled veteran that's in a track wheelchair, a rough terrain one, outside Indianapolis. He's touring the whole state, restoring every stone, granite, bronze, Medal of Honor recipient. Then we do the project that got launched was out of Wisconsin, and there was a guy there who just went out and wanted to tend to every grave of everyone in Wisconsin that was killed in Vietnam, and he has accomplished that over the last few years. So we use that as a model to start doing all the Vietnam killed in action guys. And so it's a big task, but if I don't do it, who's going to do it? If these people didn't join up, and it's not just those military guys. We've got auxiliary in Garden City, Michigan, where the Patriot Guard rider, where American Legion riders started, Garden City, Michigan. The auxiliary ladies, they got together and they're on a mission there. They got 10 jars a couple of weeks ago, and they're back out doing it for the second time. But this is over, since 2014. Started small, but I thank my buddy for going out drinking in that bar that night, because that changed everything. And then the guy who walked up and bought breakfast for the table, those are, there's people that change your life. If they just come up and give you a hint, and it's whether you're going to step up and do something, or you're going to sit back and say, yeah, we ought to get somebody. I've given talks to American Legions, VFWs. In big cities, they're shrinking. they're disappearing. But the new groups that are emerging are the guys that are getting together and putting on softball tournaments and baseball and hockey, and that's the new American Legion and VFW type people. And it's, you know, with an aging population, guys don't want to go sit in a bar. They want to get out and do something because they're young. It's not after World War II. They've got the camaraderie, and there's plenty of bars to go to.
Yeah.
So things are changing. But in small communities, the American Legion is the hub. The VFW is, the Elks, the Moose, the Rotary, Lions, and that's what we get. But it's the strangest thing is I've run this whole thing with all these volunteers with no funding, out of pocket from everybody. It's a true grassroots activity where people just dig in their pocket until they're out of money. And I hope when I get it into the stores and get that funding, I'm not looking for a handout. I'm just looking for stores to have my product on the shelves. And there's a markup and there's a profit that we make on that. So I kind of learned that Paul Newman's own salad dressing. That was a great idea, and it's applied a lot. And I have strange things happen. A guy that was next to me in a booth when I launched it, he became Donald Trump's campaign manager, moved on to heading finance at NASA, and meeting Donald Trump in 1988 at a boat show. I didn't know who he was, but he looked familiar, you know. So this hand shook hands with a future president. And I'm originally from Chicago, so I'm heading back there because we've got, I think, 114 degrees coming in today. So the wax melts really quick out here. But back in Chicago, we'll be launching it on television stations there through one of our military guys, a reporter.
Yeah, and I know you told me that you were going to be traveling some because we wanted to get this interview in before you left Arizona. So where's your next stop, Chicago?
Well, I plan, if I'm driving, I'll be stopping along the way. I'm trying to do Buffalo Bill Cody's Indian War Medal of Honor recipient, and it'd be something to do that. But I'm just going to try to stop and visit some of the volunteers throughout from here back to Chicago.
Oh,
and
that's
then
really good. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, in the Great Lakes area, the four-state area there. Mm-hmm. Just that, you know, stop in, and there's certain guys want to meet me and, you know, go out and restore with me, and it's not a vacation. It feels like it's a vacation because I love what I'm doing. And the other part is we've got some connections to people in Hollywood, and we may have a real good celebrity that'll do a voiceover for me and restoring a marker. But I'm asking President Trump and his sons to come out and volunteer with me. So if you see a video come out, something on TV, I got them. You know. Dream big. You know, if you're going to dream big. So it just moves along. You know, the products I developed, that's what saved us the most money and time. And it's a maintenance wax where you can go out to your family grave a couple times a year, put a coat of wax on it. It'll stop the mold from growing if it's stone. And on the bronze, it liquefies and looks like brand new. Out here, they sprinkle on it twice a day. So you got a buildup of gray on it. In other parts of the country, they're just having a sand off the failed clear coat, put a coat of wax on it. And there's people out today right now doing it in Maine and let's see, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Yeah.
Okay.
So let's keep going.
If people want to contact you, I know I got the Mission Restore Bronze, your like logo or plaque off your Facebook page. So, you know, I know your Facebook pages. So how do they go to Facebook? Go to your name or go to...
Yeah, just the easiest one is Mission Restore Bronze Markers. And that has 2 Facebook pages. And there's, you know, 3,000 people in one, I think. But anything you Google, you'll see that the YouTube videos will pop up. And you'll be able to link right to it if you're just doing a general search on it. But Facebook, just go to your Mission Restore Bronze Markers and you'll see it pop up. Or Thomas S. Pawlak. It's a little harder to do, but you can join the group and you can post up your pictures before and after. And then we have a thing that's called, we do a recon mission first when you're looking to join up. So you go out to a cemetery, locate some of the markers. And then the second part is you start doing them by yourself. And after you've accomplished doing 7 full restorations, you're qualified to be a point man and start training other people on it. The newest thing we just started, which was I got my volunteers out Sunday, was through the Veterans Court. instead of sending a veteran to somebody who doesn't understand their problem, what they have, too many drugs they've given them, PTS, something like that, they have a veterans court. And the judge lost both his legs in Vietnam. And I've met him and talked to him. After talking to him at the Vietnam Day of Remembrance, I was driving home. I said, well, they sentenced him to community service. Boy, I got the right thing to do. So we got the guys out, and there were speeding tickets, 10 hours of community service, then pay a big fine. And each one of the guys, they asked me, can I continue on doing this after I get my 10 done, or the 20 done? And I go, sure, you just go out and get another speeding ticket. They'll give you plenty of hours to do.
Yeah.
But what a great bunch of guys. They went out, and this one guy, he's disabled. He's got some problems in there, and he's kind of broke. And I hand him that bag with all the supplies that he needs in it. And he goes, this will keep me out of trouble. He goes, now I got something to do every day. And it's true. You do the first one and you see the transformation, and you won't be able to stop. It's quite a remarkable thing. We had one of the guys that started brought out he did 6 Medal of Honor recipients. Then he brought out his Patriot Guard Riders and Freemason buddies, and they went out to the cemetery and did a group event on it. So it's we call that Ride, Restore, and Remember for the rider guys. And we're just contacted by there's another one. It's the Missing in America Project, which they find the cremains of that were left on a shelf in a mortuary or somewhere.
Yeah, we're doing that here in Brevard County. We just did 22 that we found in one mortuary.
Isn't it amazing how you find it? Well, I was contacted by Clyde Taylor, and he, I think it was Clyde is the head of that. And he says, we have interred 400 here in Arizona, but there's 200 at the National Cemetery that were given full military burial. He says, but those grave markers tarnish up so quick there. He says, when can we start? Let's plan on November when it cools down, October, November. So they're going to they have custodial care of those cremains that are interred. Now they want to go out there and put a coat of wax on there. And the heat really eats up this clear. It's a base coat clear coat that's made by the company manufacturing for the VA. In the heat and with time or sprinkling water on it, it degrades that finish. So it's just we document what we did, and we go back and put a coat of wax on it next time we're in the cemetery. So best thing I've ever done in my life. I lived my whole life. Nobody has to interview me. I clean a grave marker. I've been on Fox, NBC, ABC. Here with yours, Bill, which was a surprise that somebody wants me on TV. But that's what I do. I'll go out to the state capitol and I'll just wax the statues on Veterans Day, Memorial Day, or when I'm in the area. And they get a lot of dust out here, and I want to keep it looking good. So we've got a lot of people, different walks of life joining. We've just got an Eagle project from Fort Myers, close to you. And I said, that's where I usually spent most of my time on vacations, and I lived down in Tampa Bay for a while. And it's different out here in Arizona, though. It's hot.
Yeah.
It's dry hot. It's like when you make pizza and open the oven, you get that blast of heat. That's what it's like when you open the front door here.
Yeah, so that's the first time I've heard Arizona described as a pizza oven, but that's pretty close. Yeah, we've been having a lot of hot weather here in Florida too, and by the time people see this, because this won't air until we're almost in August. That maybe it'll cool down some, but we've been having it too. But I think the important thing is the message is that this is something that is so great for our fallen heroes, but it's also such a wonderful thing for people to do, because when you do something like this, I know it makes you feel so good, because like I belong to the Marine Corps League and the American Legion and our Veterans Memorial Center and the Military Officers Association, and when we do stuff, boy, you feel so great. You go to these events, like even flag raising or whatever it is, and you feel so good about it, and we just need to get more people feeling that way, and I think that helps make America a better place to live.
It is. We we're amazed, you know, that so many people don't know what to do. And that's where I came in, is I had the experience. I owned a lawn ornament business. I'd get called in on bronze restoration. And, you know, there's a technique to it. You know, some are painted with clear coat. All the statues are done in natural bronze, which is stained, but there's copper in it, and that's why it turns green. And so you need to put a coat of wax on it. You know, right now, they're receiving the wax for the Code Talker statue, which is on native land in Window Rock, Arizona. And if you look it up, Window Rock is that big stone where there's a hole through it, and they call it Window Rock. And they called up a year ago and said, we want to do this. And there's two of these huge Code Talker statues. And even here, we've run into a state representative. His grandfather was a Code Talker. And we only have, I think, 5 left. And it's amazing when you see a person in their 90s that was a Code Talker that the Japanese couldn't figure it out. It's an honor for each time that our product is used on it. Military are free. If you get a group together and you're trying to do even a military statue, call me. If I'm flush with money and wax, I send it out to you. No charge. We also take donations if you're on. I do those and I post them up on the pages. So when you see, you know, volunteers buying supplies for restoration, that's us. And we've had a number of groups out, and it's an array of people from all walks of life. You know, you get a scout troop out, and they've got grandma, grandpa, neighbors. You know, they're the best ones. And with having 2.4 million scouts, it's a natural match with trying to cover 58,000 scattered throughout small cemeteries throughout the United States. But we got to do it. It's 50 years later. It's the least we can do. Thank you for serving, Bill.
Well, and Tom, thanks for telling your story, and thanks for being on with me. And this has really been an honor for me, because I've got so much admiration and respect for you for just going out and doing this, you know, and assuming a leadership role, and, you know, just grabbing a hold of it and doing it, and you're making it happen. And I'm just really awestruck by it. So, people know they can go to your Facebook page. That's probably the best place to go. Do you have a web page or a Twitter account or anything else?
Yeah, we had the web page, but the guy who did it took our money and didn't give us the codes to access it. So it was like a conflict, because it was so easy to communicate on Facebook. That's what we did. So just Mission Restore Bronze Markers. If you search it, you're going to see the links going to Facebook. You'll see the links going to the YouTube videos. And that's how people get me right away. They can be searching and they say, I just found you. And it's all because of Facebook. Websites that's like old technology, some people say. He says, no, we're on Facebook. I'm chatting with you right now. And it's rare to have people talk. You know, I'm old school. I like talking to people. And I'll put my phone number down, call me, and then they text me again. Text again. Now I just have to accept, you know, texting as it's a way of life. And the people that are out there today, the technology is, I didn't raise any money for all these years, and I see this fundraisers popping up on my page, birthday fundraiser. I said, that's it. I'm going to try one of these. So I punched it up. People want an easy way of communicating, getting to you. And all of a sudden, I want to raise $200. I thought I could make a lot of wax, get it out for what I need this month. All of a sudden, the 200 was in within 6 hours. And I raised it up. I said, let's make it higher. And it was only a 3-day thing. I don't need a lot. I just need a little, because I make the product. You know, I got it down at first cost. I mean, I pour, label, everything. One day, I hope when we get 100,000, I'll get kids together. My plan is to have kids that have Asperger's, teach them how to do everything that I'm doing, get them into a business. Mm-hmm. And so it's something simple. I keep the cost down. Everything that was wrong with these donations that you only get, 50% goes to the soldiers, it's different with us. You send me $100, I turn it into $300 because I make it into this great tire wax. I sell it to lowrider guys all over California and Texas, and white wall hot rod guys. We just shipped some out to East Coast because they've got those big wide white walls on the classic cars. So it generates revenue. Good example, the Paul Newman's salad dressing. You feel good when you buy something from that. So we have it at shows, and people sell the tire wax to raise funds. I'll send them 20 or 30 jars. Then at their fundraiser events, they can sell jars just like they sell cookies and candy. So
And
good role
Tom,
model.
I know you give your phone number out, and we'll make sure that people get your phone number. And I guess I was probably one of the few, because as soon as you sent me the phone number, I think I called you like within about 10 or 15 seconds. I probably caught you by surprise, huh?
Yeah, tell me, did you call from the phone that was on the wall? Remember those?
Yeah. No, I'm sitting here at my computer, and I'm looking at the little box in the Facebook, and it's got the number there, and I thought, okay, I put it in my keypad and hit the thing, and we're talking. So
Yeah, well, my plans are this winter. I'm going to be down in Florida, so I would be planning on taking you out to some military plaques out there and show you what it looks like. If we could do some recording right from a cemetery, put it up, say, here's what the cemeteries look like. Because when you do one and you look out at a field after I got done with Oscars, and it looks so good, I saw the rest of them. And we've had people from the ship, the USS Oscar Austin, they said, boy, this Oscar Austin grave marker looks great compared to the rest of them. And the Buffalo Soldiers who spearhead this, they said, oh, yeah, we got a guy that comes out here and takes care of that, And I was standing right there. But that's what is just spreading the knowledge of it. There's somebody out there. If you just want to sit and talk, I can explain it to you. When you get out to a cemetery, if you're there, you call me. You can take a picture of what your family's marker looks like, send it on the phone. I can look at it, and I can tell you what procedure to use on it. Detailed instructions come with every jar of wax. They're posted up on Mission Restore bronze markers. And then text me if you can't talk. You know what? A lot of people do stuff at work, and that's why you get a lot of texts today. They can't call you. They can sit there and on a computer send you a message.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope that when you get to Florida, that you can get over here to the Atlantic coast, and
Sure.
I'm involved in enough organizations. We can probably get a few of us, to go out with you or something like that. So
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
At our age, it was. I had a guy. Well, he was Vietnam, and he says, "Tom, I can't do this anymore." I said, "What happened?" He says, "I went out to the cemetery to do that, and I got down, and I couldn't get up." I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "I left my cell phone in the car." He says, "So here I am in a cemetery. I can't get up. I had to wait till a groundskeeper came by to help me up. So I can't do these anymore." And you don't think that when you get down. And it's just like, it's tough. It's easy to get down. It's hard to get up at our age. Everybody's got a need an implant. So what we do is we try to recruit. Do you have grandchildren? Do you have, sons? Do you have a Boy Scout troop associated with your post? And get the young kids out, because the Scouts really deliver the goods, And this Eagle project that's going to go on at Fort Myers, that's a great spot. And that's like my second home. My buddy, I took him down to Fort Myers. I said, get down here with your charter boat. Get out of that Port Richey area. So 10 years later, he owns the largest real estate company on the island. They elected him mayor, so I'm giving him an award, most improved. But it's just connecting with people down there, and I've got cousins down there, and Tampa Bay area. I lived in Apollo Beach for a while, and then most of the time is south of there, Sarasota, Bradenton, Fort Myers, and got cousins in Zephyr Hills, my cousin in the Villages. I'm right at that age, but I got something to do the rest of my life till they pull the standing block out of my cold, dead hand.
Well, Tom, God bless you, because what you've got to do for the rest of your life is really worthwhile, and you're doing something for our fallen heroes. So that's just really awesome. Hey, I want to thank you for joining in with me and telling everybody about your process and your mission, and your story and everything like that. So, like I said, God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you for serving. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. It's an honor, sir.
The honor is all mine, Tom. Okay, boys and girls, here's another way that we can help our fallen heroes. So this is something that civilians and vets and Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts, Girl Scouts, any kind of organization, and anybody wants to get involved in some community service can get involved in this project, and I guarantee you it'll make you feel so much better about yourself, and it'll really be a way to honor our fallen heroes. So God bless all of our fallen heroes, and God bless America, and God save America. We need you now more than ever before.